Hi, I'm Desi Serna, professional guitar teacher specializing in teaching guitar theory. I help students learn how to apply music theory to the guitar fretboard. And in this free guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play the song No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. I have a special arrangement of this tune that I put together, and it's a great example of how to apply guitar scales, specifically the pentatonic scale and the major scale. So I'm going to show you how to play this progression, and I'm going to show you how I looped this progression using a special pedal, a looping device. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the theory behind this song, the chord progression, what scales to use over it, and how you can compose some of your own lead guitar lines or your own improvisations over this tune. So to begin with, let's talk about the chord progression. So I want to zoom in here and take a closer look at the fretboard, and I'll show you what I played. These chords are all based out of the key of C. I'm using the chord C, and then a G/B. So this is a G chord, but you're going to put the B note in the lowest position. A minor, and F. I play F like this, then I wrap my thumb for the low F. So you've got C, G/B. I end up just doing it like this because I don't play either of the E strings. A minor and F. It goes like this. Let me slow that down for you. A little B note there, and then I repeat. Sorry, there's a little slap after the F. Then you hit the B note. So I'm finger picking this, starting with the root C and the 5th string. It's thumb, index, and then these two fingers together. And a slap that kind of mimics the drum beat of the song. Then I hit the root C again before I go to the next chord. G/B. Same right hand technique. A minor starts out the same, but instead of going back to the A, because you go C, back to the C, G/B, back to the B, A minor. You do not go back to the A, you go straight to an F. I play it with my thumb, and then part of an F chord. I'm hitting the higher strings here. And so that's how you play the verse, and just repeats. You play it 4 times. And then the chorus starts out the same. Except for you add this to it. So that's a C, F, then some thirds going backwards. C, F, and then strings 1 and 3 open, strings 2 and 4 at the 3rd fret, C. And this is the chorus of the song, No woman, no cry. I do a little finger roll here. Just thumb, index, middle, ring, and then back to the middle. Little bass line. G, A, B, G. You do that twice. So the verse is 4 times and the chorus is twice. Okay, to loop this rhythm so that I could play the melody and stuff over the top of it, I plugged into a Boss RC20 loop station. They make a couple of different models, and there's other manufacturers that make devices like this. These are fantastic for practice and for performing. You just plug your guitar into it, and you stomp on the pedal. It will start recording what you're playing. You stop on it again, and then it will just continuously loop whatever you recorded. So I stomped on this at the very beginning of the rhythm. I played through the verse 4 times. I played through the chorus twice. And then right on the same beat that would restart the verse, I stomped on this again. That way I had a perfect loop, and it would just repeat all those parts. Now I'll just let this play then through the rest of the song, and I would jump to the melody. Now, you don't see me do this at the beginning of the video, but I did pre-record this, pre-record the rhythm part, and then I just started taping actually after the rhythm was down and I was playing the melody. So great little tool to have. Highly recommend that you consider getting a device like this. And of course it's necessary if you want to put together my arrangement here of No Woman No Cry. In order to help you out, I did actually record an audio track of the rhythm by itself. So if you don't have a loop station, but you still want to, practice some of these the techniques and stuff that I'm going to teach you and play some of the melody, you can just play right over the track. There should be a link on the same page that is hosting this video, and that will take you to a link on my website where you can just view the audio track rhythm only. You can download that, save it to your music file program or whatever, or just stream it online and, get your guitar out and play right over the top of it. So, all right, so I've explained the chord progression and how you can put together the track. Now, I want to talk about what scales I'm using to play over this. In my book, Fretboard Theory, Chapter 7, I talk at length about how to select the right scale for chords and chord progressions. So I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but this is something that all good guitar players should study. It's really one of the more important topics in learning guitar theory and music theory. So basically this progression is derived from the C major scale. All of these chords are built from the C major scale. These chords fit together, altogether, they can only fit into the C major scale. Individually, the chords may fit into some other keys, but the whole progression only fits into the C major scale. So you would use the C major scale to play over the top of this song. And it could be any C major scale, anywhere in the fretboard. Doesn't matter. Major scales are taught in my book, Fretboard Theory, Chapter 5. So much of music actually stems from the major scale, not just guitar solos and melodies, but chord construction, intervals, adding extensions to chords and all that stuff. So all good guitar players really ought to know the major scale. They are covered in my book, Fretboard Theory, and you can learn all the major scale patterns and how to map out the whole fretboard with major scales. So let me just give you an example. I'm going to play a little bit of the rhythm track again, and I'm just going to let it play. And I'm just going to play through some C major scale patterns. And notice that I don't even really need to put much thought into it. Just by simply playing up and down C major scales, it fits in perfectly with the rhythm track, and it even sounds musical. So let me give you an example. Anyway, you get the idea. You know, knowing what to play is half the battle. This is why it's so important for serious guitar players to study guitar theory, to learn about music theory, learn about how chords are built, learn about what scales are used, and how they go together, and all that good stuff. Otherwise, you'll be surprised how much you just guess, or rather, you won't understand how much you are capable of playing if you just knew how things went together. So, you can play the C major scale over this whole progression. Much of the vocal melody that I play over this song, and much of the lead guitar solo work that I play and stuff, is based on the major scale. Now, I also think about another scale, the pentatonic scale, and so I want to talk about that here. Let me back up for 1 second, by the way. There are many, many scales that you can learn how to play on the guitar, but the reality is that most music is based on just two types of scale patterns, either major scale patterns or pentatonic scale patterns. You can literally cover about 99% of popular music just by learning how to apply those two scale patterns correctly. So I recommend, if you're serious about learning how to play melodies, riffs, solos, bass lines, or if you just want to learn how music goes together, how it's composed and improvised, you focus on studying those two scales. Start with the pentatonic scale because it's easier. Learn how to use that first. I cover this at length in my book Fretboard Theory Chapter 2, and I also have a DVD dedicated to learning the pentatonic scale. It's called Getting Started with the Pentatonic Scale. So I would start with that. Once you kind of get a handle on the pentatonic scale, you could then learn the major scales. They're a little bit more complicated, more notes, but you definitely want to learn them. So I would avoid studying exotic or obscure scales. They might be kind of interesting theoretically, but first of all, you'll never understand them until you understand the more fundamental scales first. And then second of all, the reality is the exotic and obscure scales are just not really used that much unless you're listening to really obscure bebop jazz or something. Most popular styles of music just use the major scale and the pentatonic scale. So I've already talked about using the C major scale over this progression. You could also use the C major pentatonic over this progression. Now there's a handful of chords here, C, A minor, and F. But it is the C chord that's functioning as the root, so it's kind of like the home base, the tonal center of this song. So you can play the C major pentatonic, not just over the C, but the entire progression. It'll fit over the whole progression. So let me give you an example of what that sounds like. I'm going to put my pinky here on C at the 8th fret and play pentatonic pattern 1. And then from here, of course, I can connect into the other patterns. There are 5. The notes of the pentatonic scale actually make one big pattern that covers the whole fretboard. Then you just chop it up and learn it in pieces or positions, but it's actually one giant scale pattern. So I'll move around a little bit. Sounds like this. Anyway, you get the idea. So those are the two main scales that I play over this song. I'm thinking C major scale and C major pentatonic. In fact, I'm usually thinking of them both. So to give you an example of what I mean, here, starting at the 5th fret, I've got pentatonic pattern 1. And you know, many guitar players really favor pattern 1. There's 5 different pentatonic patterns that are all used, but 1 seems to be kind of a favorite, and I kind of favor it too. At least in this song it works out well. And a lot of guitar players, if they learn the scale correctly, they'll learn lots of songs that use the scale, and they get really good at kind of just riffing and jamming in these pentatonic boxes, you know? So guitar players really like these patterns because they're so used to playing in those little boxes. Now, pentatonic pattern 1 happens to overlap major scale pattern number 5. Major scale pattern number 5, at least number 5 as the major scale patterns are usually taught. There's a couple different ways you can learn the major scale. And by the way, it doesn't really matter which way you learn as long as you just cover the fretboard. This is how I teach it in my book, Fretboard Theory, Chapter 5. You learn all about major scales. And this is how pattern 5 looks. And it intersects pentatonic pattern 1 here. So I'm actually thinking about both scales. You know, I might riff and jam in the pentatonic. And then I know I've got my major scale notes there too. So that's kind of the mental view of the fretboard that I have. I'm visualizing those two patterns and thinking about them both. Okay, let's zoom in now. I want you to take a closer look at how I'm playing some pieces of the melody, and I'm going to show you some of the licks and phrases I used as I was soloing, and then you'll be able to put together a version of this song on your own, and you'll pick up on, hopefully you'll pick up on some new licks and tricks. Okay, so to begin with, the vocal melody starts out, no woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. And I play it, I play a little bit of the bass line, and you repeat. And then the verse, I play like this. And by the way, I actually never learned this song note for note. I just put this song together, just kind of riffing and jamming. I'm a fan of this song, and I was just kind of playing around with this tune and piecing together the melody kind of by melody or by feel. So this will not match the song note for note, but it doesn't have to, because it's still recognizable. It's obvious what I'm playing, and I've got my own unique version of it. So I'm just going to show you, generally speaking, how I'm playing some of the melody, and you don't have to play it exactly like me. Maybe you want to listen to the recording and work it out a little closer, or maybe you'll do your own version. So that's how the melody is played, and then later I duplicate the melody an octave higher. This would be like pentatonic pattern 4 or major scale pattern 3. And I just play the melody again, And the chorus melody an octave higher. It's a little bit of an F chord there. Little playing in thirds. I talk about playing in thirds in my book, Fretboard Theory, Chapter 9. You learn about intervals and thirds and fifths and sixths and all that good stuff. So that'll get you started on the chorus and the verse melody. And then when I start soloing, I begin with this little phrase that goes like this. I actually stole this. Well, I stole part of it from the song "To Be With You" by Mr. Big. I think that song's in the key of E, or they might even be tuned to E flat. And there's a great acoustic guitar solo in there, and he's got a phrase. So I just took that, shifted it to the key of C, and they just kind of rearranged it. I adapted it a little bit to fit into this song. Added a little bit more to it. And let me slow that down for you. So it starts out, it's mainly pentatonic. I slide into this. And you go back to your index finger there. Next is major scale note. Then you start at A here on the 4th string. I cross-pick this, I'm continuously alternating, and it actually ends up starting on an upstroke. And then later, I duplicate this phrase, not exactly the same, but I duplicate it up here an octave higher in pattern 4. It looks like this. I left one note out just because I kind of fumbled through it when I tried to duplicate it exactly, and I found that if I just left one note out, it was easier for me to play. So let me slow this down for you. And then instead of going back to the C like I did down here, the value of that note is still there, but I rest and then I start back up with. I also end this one note short, so it's. Whoops. Then back into the melody. Okay, another section of the melody that I copy is where they sing, you know, everything's gonna be alright, everything's gonna be alright. And I play it right in the pentatonic position down here. Put a little lick at the end of there, you know. And notice how I'm outlining an F major arpeggio here. And I'm tying this into the chord progression, you know, it's C, you know, not humming this in key, but the notes that I play there target the F, the notes of F at the end, and it ties it into the rhythm. Well, I forgot how I did it now. There it is. This is part of a C form bar chord. It's a quote-unquote C form, but it's actually an F. My pinky's on F here. This is part of the caged template chord system. Any serious guitar player needs to understand how chord shapes are built on the fretboard and how to make different shapes and voicings and arpeggio patterns. This is covered in my book Fretboard Theory Chapter 3, and I also have a whole DVD program dedicated to this topic. It's called the Caged Template Chord System. And aside from just teaching you how to play chords, you know, all the chord shapes are also arpeggio patterns. So if you want to be a good lead player and you want to outline chords and target the notes of chords so that your licks and phrases fit in nicely with what you're playing over, you want to learn this system. So, in fact, a lot of times when I'm down here playing, I will typically end my phrases on these notes of F, you know. Okay, another part. A little bit later I do this trick where I basically descend down the C major scale and I put some open strings in there and make kind of an interesting cascading effect. Sounds like this. That was a little sloppy. Let's see if I can do it better. I picked up this trick from an issue of Acoustic Guitar magazine, and it's a really interesting trick. The idea is you just go down a major scale and you substitute an open string for a fretted note wherever you can. So for example, instead of playing the fretted E, I play the open E. By the way, I actually hybrid pick this. I pull the open strings with a finger. Then if I keep going down the pattern, instead of the B here, it's an open B. And I actually use pull-off, so it's... And the idea is that you can get neighboring notes to ring over each other. You can't do that if you fret them both. It's one or the other. But like that, you can hear them ring over each other, almost like a piano player playing down a scale and holding the sustain pedal. So you hear the notes ringing over each other. It makes kind of a cascading effect. Let me keep going down the scale. So I'm fretting, and then here's the open G. F, E, and then D. C, B, A. And then I actually come down here and play a little bit more and end on an F note. So, I never got quite as good at this technique as I have heard other guitar players do. I guess I'm still working on it, but it still sounds neat. And then I reverse it and I climb up the scale. Like this. C, D, E, F, G. So you've got G, A, B, whoops, and then C, D, E, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then I do a little hop it on the first string, ending on F, ties it into the chord progression. I kind of hop, so I still have some open string in there. Kind of helps to add to the cascading effect. Let me put a little delay in this. Okay, the last part I want to show you is the ending. And I end on the chorus, right? No woman, no cry. And what I do is I stop my loop at that point, and then I just repeat that part of the chorus And instead of doing it the same each time, I do some different arrangement of third intervals. So it goes like this. You know. And we have. So let me walk you through these examples. You already know the first one. I showed it to you when you learned the rhythm, you know. I'm holding a pick now, so I kind of hybrid pick this. And these are third intervals. And then here's just a different arrangement of them, you know, using octaves and kind of moving things around. So this is string 1 and string 4. And then I finish it off the same as you know, you do in the rhythm. Okay, and then next you have same notes, same idea, playing third intervals, but just you know, in different octaves here. And sometimes inverting them, sometimes having the root in the lowest position and a third interval on top, or maybe a third interval an octave higher, or sometimes having the third interval below, you know, and so on. I talk about these types of techniques in my book, Fretboard Theory, chapter 9. All right, so the next one is, and you can actually probably think of this as full chords. It's like an F, E minor, D minor, and C. You're going backward in a scale, you know. And I'm picking the root F, and then just the third interval over on the third string. Some people call these tenths. You know, here's a root and third, F and A, and I'm in the key of C here. If I count up from this A to the next A, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this specific A is 10 notes away. So some people call these tenth intervals. I still think of them as thirds, and I just think, you know, I'm using octaves and, you know, whatever. So F, same strings open, E minor, then first string and fourth string, D minor. I don't have to fret the whole chord because I'm only using these two strings, you know. And then C. Oops. So then last, this is F. Got the third A below it now. This is an E with its third G below it. Then D with its third F below it. And then C with its third E below it. That's how I end it. Okay, well this wraps up this free guitar lesson on No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. So hopefully now you have an idea of how you could put together your own little arrangement of it, and you understand how to solo over it, how to apply the scales, how to put together the chord progression, and everything. You know, this information is really best suited for intermediate and advanced guitar players. So if you're a beginner guitar player and you're just getting started, you really need to focus on learning the basics. So, you know, you don't really need to work too much on advanced guitar theory or fancy techniques like some of the techniques in this video. So just be patient and take it one step at a time and work on material that's appropriate for beginner level guitar players. Well, my name is Desi Serna, and if you'd like to learn more about me, including my books, my DVD programs, or you just want to find some more free content that I have posted on the internet, just Google search my name, Desi Serna. That's D-E-S-I-S-E-R-N-A. I've got lots of free lessons, including podcasts, and I've got books and videos where you can learn complete guitar theory. My book, Fretboard Theory, is a complete course in guitar theory. It covers scales and chords and chord progressions and guitar modes, and it fills in all the gaps in between. And I also have some DVD programs where you can focus on some very important topics in greater detail. If you have any questions or comments about this lesson, you can email me from my website. I actually do read all my email and I do respond to all questions so long as they're related to my website and related to the topic of guitar music theory and so on. So please post a link to this video lesson on your website or any websites that you visit or any forums that you visit. Share with other guitar players this information that I have available. So thanks again for watching. Have a great day.